guys, it's me, Nicola from Tree My Care. Welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel, whichever the case may be. So I can actually do it when I don't think about it. So today we are going to read chapter 1 of The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Gotta get to it. And go from there. It's a really short chapter. I figure my husband's not on his way home yet. I will hopefully just get this done before he gets home. So, as always, Jack Harrer. Tiger doesn't quite appreciate cannabis. Huh? No, you don't kind of appreciate that. Okay, so chapter 1, the overview of the history of cannabis hemp. Peasants harvesting hemp at the beginning of the 20th century. For thousands upon thousands of years, all over the world, families came together to harvest the hemp fields at the height of the flowering season, never dreaming that one day the U.S. government would be spearheading an international movement to wipe the cannabis plant off the face of the earth. For the past 60 years, the United States has not only discouraged the use of hemp, but adopted a policy of forced extinction upon the species of plant. The impact of accidentally or even consciously destroying any single life form has never been fully considered, let alone the effect of this concerted attack upon what is arguably the Earth's primary renewable energy. One of that has literally thousands of critical applications, especially in replacing the majority of uses for fossil fuels, timber, and petrochemicals. So the purpose of clarity in this book. Explanations or documentations marked with the asterisks. The facts cited here are generally verifiable in the Encyclopedia Britannica, which was printed primarily on hemp paper for the last 150 years. However, any encyclopedia, no matter how old or a good dictionary, will give you the general verification purposes. So, cannabis sativa, also known as hemp, cannabis hemp, Indian hemp, true hemp, muggles weed, pot, marijuana, reefer, grass, ganja, bang, the kind, daga, herb, etc., all names for exactly the same plant. What's in a name? So, Hempstead, Long Island, Hempstead County, Arkansas, Hempstead, Texas, Hempfield, North Carolina, and Hempfield, Pennsylvania, among others, were named after cannabis growing regions or after family names derived from hemp growing. That's kind of cool. American historical notes. In 1619, America's first marijuana law was enacted at Jamestown Colony, Virginia, ordering all farmers to make trial of or grow Indian hemp seed. More mandatory must-grow hemp cultivation laws were enacted in Massachusetts in 1631, in Connecticut in 1632, and in the Chesapeake colonies into mid-1700s. Even in England, the much sought-after prize of full British citizenship was bestowed by a decree of the crown on foreigners who would grow cannabis. and fines were often levied against those who refused. Cannabis hemp was legal tender, money, in most of the Americas from 1631 until the early 1800s. Why? To encourage American farmers to grow more. You could pay your taxes with cannabis throughout the Americas for over 200 years. Could you imagine? Here, I gotta send this to the IRS for my payment. Sorry, it's just definitely not something that we have here today. But you could do it back then. So if they could pay their taxes with hemp or cannabis, does that mean the politicians were all paid in cannabis too? Just kidding. That is a very good strain. You could even be jailed in America for not growing cannabis during several periods of shortages, like in Virginia between 1763 and 1767. Hendon GM Hemp in colonial Virginia, 1963, the Chesapeake colonies in 1954, and the LA Times in 81. Benjamin Franklin started one of America's first paper mills with cannabis. This allowed the America to have a free colonial press without having to beg or justify for the need of paper and books from England. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson grew cannabis on their own plantations. Jefferson, while envoy to France, went to great expenses and even considerable risk to himself and his secret agents to procure particularly good hemp seed smuggled illegally into Turkey from China. The Chinese mandarins, political rulers, so valued their hemp seed that they made its exportation a capital offense. In the United States Census of 1850 counted 8,327 hemp plantations. Wow, that's a lot. The Chinese character for MA, which was the earliest name for hemp by 10th century AD, MA had become the generic term for fibers of all kinds, including jute and ramie, and by then the word for hemp had become tiama, or diama, meaning great hemp. And these farms were a minimum of 2,000-acre farms that they were growing this hemp on. Growing cannabis hemp for cloth, canvas, and even for cordage used for baling cotton. Most of these plantations were located in the South or in the border states, primarily because of its cheap slave labor available prior to 1865 for the intense labor hemp industry. Benjamin Franklin started one of America's first paper mills with cannabis. This allowed America to have a free colonial press without having to beg or justify the need for paper and books from England. In addition, various marijuana and hashish extracts were the first, second, and third most prescribed medicines in the United States from 1842 until 1890s. Its medicinal use continued legally through the 1930s for humans and figured even more prominently in America and world of veterinary medicines. Cannabis extract, ME, Dysons, were produced by Eli Lilly, Park Davis, Titan, and Smith Brothers. And Squibb and many others in America, and the European countries and apothecaries. During all of this time, there were not one reported death from cannabis extract. Not one reported death from cannabis extracts. And virtually no abuse or mental disorders reported except for first-time or novice users occasionally becoming disoriented or over-introverted. World historical notes. The earliest known woven fabric was apparently of hemp, which began to be worked in the 8th millennia, 8000 to 7000 BC. The Columbia History of the World, 1981, page 54. The body of literature, archaeology, anthropology, philology, economy, history pertaining to the hemp is in general agreement that at the very least, from more than 1,000 years before the time of Christ until 1883 AD, cannabis, hemp, indeed marijuana, was our planet's largest agricultural crop and most important industry, involving thousands of products and enterprises, producing the overall majority of the Earth's fiber, fabric, lighting oil, paper, incense, and medicines. In addition, it was the primary source of essential food oils and protein for animals and humans. And according to virtually every anthropologist and university in the world, marijuana was also used in most of our religions and cults as one of the 7 or so most widely used mood, mind, or pain-altering drugs when taken as a psychotropic, mind manifestation, or expanding sacraments. Almost without exception, these scared drug expertise in almost every exception, these sacred drugs, expenses, inspired, or superstitions, amulets, talismans, religions, prayers, and language codes, see chapter 10, on religions and magic. Great wars were fought to ensure the availability of hemp. For example, the primary reason of the War of 1812, fought by America against Great Britain, was access to Russian cannabis hemp. Russian hemp was access to Russian cannabis hemp. Yeah, they didn't say that right. So, Russian hemp was access to Russian cannabis hemp. Russian hemp was also the principal reason that Napoleon, our ally, and his Continental Systems allies invaded Russia in 1812. See chapter 12. The Hemp War of 1812 with Napoleon invades Russia. And that's something that you don't see. You don't read about that in the books, do you? So, in 1942, after the Japanese invasions of the Philippines cut off the supply of Manila, Abalca, hemp, and the United States government distributed 400,000 pounds of cannabis seed to American farmers from Wisconsin to Kentucky, who produced 42 tons of hemp fiber annually until 1946, when the war ended. Why has cannabis, hemp, or marijuana been so important in history? Because cannabis hemp is overall the strongest, most durable, longest lasting natural soft fiber on the planet. It leaves the flower tops, the marijuana, where depending on the culture, the first, second, or third most important and most used medicines for 2/3 of the world's people for at least 3,000 years. Until the turn of the 20th century, botanically, hemp is a member of the most advanced plant family on Earth. It is Dioica having male and female and sometimes hermaphroditic, male and female on same plant. Woody hibiscus annual that uses the sun more efficiently than virtually any other plant on the planet, reaching to a robust 12 to 20 feet or more in short growing seasons. It can be grown in virtually any climate or soil condition on Earth, even marginal ones. Hemp is by far the Earth's premier renewable natural resource. This is why hemp is so important. So there were at least 60 tons of hemp on the USS Constitution alone. So the hemp was sails, rigging ropes, oakum, sealants. You have to seal that oak or it's not going to work. Pennants, ensigns, flags, maps, logs, Bibles, and clothing, among some others. And so this just kind of breaks down what it is and how much it uses. And I'll let you see the page. So I'm not going to go any further on that one. But we will have chapter 2 coming up here soon. So as always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, find my lighter. On the video, I am trying to get some information out. Also, it is June, Cannabis Education Month. So, thank you for joining me today. Throw any comment or anything down below. We will be picking it up chapter 2, probably the middle of next week. But thank you for joining me.